Hello my friend. In today's video we're going to talk about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and how you can actually change them or avoid them. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, if you haven't seen my other video, are 4 different issues that can come up in a relationship, and they have been found by Dr. John Gottman, who did research in this area, to have an 80% success rate in predicting that a marriage will fail if they show up. So these are really things you want to avoid, and if they are present in your relationship, then they're things that you want to try to change. So that's what we're going to get into today, is if these are showing up in your relationship, how can you begin to move in a different direction or change them in the moment? So let's dive into it. So the 4 horsemen of the relationship apocalypse are 1, criticism, 2, contempt, 3, defensiveness, and 4, stonewalling. How do we start avoiding or changing our behavior if these start to show up in our relationship? Well, let's start with criticism. So with criticism, just to review, is when you basically are taking a complaint and you are making it global. So a complaint is something where you say you are complaining about a specific behavior and you're talking about how you feel. You say, I feel blank about this specific behavior, and then you express your need. I would love it if you would change X, right? So it's specific, and you're talking about a very specific behavior. Criticism, on the other hand, is global. So you're actually complaining about the person's personality or some kind of character flaw that you see in them. You're saying, you are so forgetful, instead of, I feel upset that you didn't sweep the kitchen when I told you to. I would love it if you would do that next time I ask, right? So you're talking about global changes versus something that is specific and individual. So in order to change this, try using a gentle startup and then focus on going into a specific behavior, complaining about a specific thing instead of making it a global statement. What's really helpful here is, instead of using you words, saying you are always, you are this, right? Start with I. Say, I feel, and then insert emotion here, angry, upset, sad, whatever it is, about a specific behavior. Be very specific, and don't make it about them. Make it about the behavior rather than about them. And then express your need afterwards. Say, I would love it if in the future you could text me first before you do that, or something like that, right? Whatever it is, be specific and label it around the specific behavior instead of making it a global thing. Remember, use I statements instead of you statements. Okay, number 2 is contempt. Contempt, if you remember, is really about disgust.
You disgust me.
It's about little things coming up in the relationship over and over again that you just kind of keep in the back of your mind. You build up resentment, and over time it turns into contempt for the other person. The solution here are to do small things often. These small things are small positive things. What that means is that you need to begin to focus on and express gratitude for small things about your partner, and do this often. What this really means in practicality is, when your partner walks into the room, think about something positive about them that you like, right? Start keeping a list, keep a gratitude list around your partner if that's what it takes. But even just creating a mental inventory of good things you like about your partner, small positive things that they've done throughout the day that you really appreciate, and then expressing this gratitude towards them, this appreciation towards them, it creates a culture of respect in your relationship. And it's a really beautiful, positive thing. You start to create these really positive vibes in your relationship that extend past just those tiny moments and create a kind of positive shield, so that when something bad does happen, you have that positive barrier kind of built up to deflect those negative emotions, those negative thought patterns that may start to arise and that would eventually lead to contempt. So creating this culture of appreciation, respect, support, and gratitude for your partner is really what will eventually, over time, stop the contempt or get rid of it altogether. Number 3 is defensiveness. So defensiveness is really about blaming your partner for something that you may have had some responsibility in. So your partner's telling you that you did something wrong. You're saying, no, I didn't do anything wrong. Really what that's doing is it's pushing the blame for that issue onto them. It's taking it away from you. And really the solution here is to learn to take responsibility. in any kind of conflict. Even if you feel like you haven't done that much, there's probably some element of it where you share responsibility for what's going on. And if you're really open and honest with yourself, then you can find that piece of the conflict that is your fault, and you can begin to take responsibility for that. And so really that is the first step to avoiding defensiveness and to creating a situation where you and your partner can both talk honestly about what the actual conflict is, acknowledge each of your personal responsibilities in it, and then creatively come up with a solution or apologize and move on. Okay, so number 4 is stonewalling. Stonewalling is when we become flooded with really intense emotions. It's a physiological response, and that leads to the other person just kind of clocking out. They put up barriers, they don't want to talk to the other person, and it can be really harmful to relationships. Usually this one comes after the other 3 have already been present in the relationship for a long time. In his research, Dr. John Gottman found that a couple who was arguing and having this conflict for a period of 15 minutes, when one of them started to stonewall, what he had them do was to take a 30-minute break, to leave the room, and each of them went and sat and read magazines for 30 minutes. At the end of that 30 minutes, they were able to come back together, they were less activated, and they were able to have an actual conversation with each other and solve their disagreement. And the lesson is that if you are feeling if the behavior of stonewalling come up, or you're feeling emotionally flooded, you need to be able to recognize that in the moment, take a time out, and you and your partner go do something else for at least 20 minutes. 20 minutes will allow you to step away from the problem, fully downregulate, and change your physiological state to the point that you are able to come back into the conversation after those 20 minutes and have a productive, creative discussion of where you want to take things and how you want to handle things in a positive way. So if that sounds hard, then just keep in mind that even a small break will be helpful. Even if it takes, saying, hey, I'm sorry, I just can't do this right now. I need to take a quick break. I'll be back. Taking a step away from the conflict and then coming back to it will allow both of you to be more productive in the way that you discuss things in the future. So for each of these 4 horsemen, whenever they come up in the relationship, John Gottman says that there's a magic ratio that will basically determine whether or not your relationship will survive. The 4 horsemen can arise in any relationship, but they need to be in a ratio of 5 to 1. So the 1 being, for every time that one of the 4 horsemen rears its ugly head, there need to be 5 extra times that you are doing something positive in your relationship. So this can be little acts of appreciation, this can be joking, hanging out together, physical touch. It can be all kinds of different positive things that you insert into your relationship to balance out that 1. And of course, this isn't something where you need to be documenting every single thing that happens or keeping score, but it is something to keep in mind. Even when you may be experiencing one of these 4 horsemen, keep in mind that 1, you can change over time, and 2, you want to try to keep that ratio of 5 to 1 in your head so you can be trying to bolster your relationship with positive interactions to outweigh those negative things that might come up from time to time. All right, thank you so much. As always, if this was helpful to you, then please give me a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel. It's really helpful. Until next time.